And every year, consumers reward you with higher sales figures. As a result, you're also, and it's very important, you're also inspiring the conventional food sector to improve sustainability. Because you're not only offering organic food to responsible consumers, but you're also competitors for the industrialized food sector. Transforming food and farming through organics is not only the motto of this conference, it's also your ambition for the future. That's not an easy task. The organic sector can only keep pioneering if it keeps developing. Right now, it risks being a victim of its own success. In Europe, supply cannot meet demand anymore. The organic sector needs the scope to do business and innovate. But it also needs rules to strengthen consumer trust. With the new organic farming regulation, Europe wants to find the right balance. And the Netherlands wants to successfully conclude trilogue negotiations during our presidency in the first half of this year. And as I mentioned, it's also an important ambition for me personally. Because consumers and producers have to know where they stand well in advance. But before we can conclude the negotiations, we need to resolve some dilemmas. And I have a few examples. Consumers want a wider range of organic products, including mangoes, chocolate and coffee, all of which are produced outside of Europe. How flexible are we willing to be when it comes to importing organic produce from further ahead? We face another dilemma when it comes to inspecting and certifying freshly prepared organic products sold on a small scale, like soup or sandwiches sold from market stalls and food trucks. Right now, caterers are exempted, because for them, the costs outweigh their modest returns. The European Parliament now wants to abolish this exemption, so that consumers can be sure their food really is organic. Ladies and gentlemen, it's only a few years ago, and I remember it myself. If you went to an organic shop, you felt like you were being looked at. It seemed to be associated with our past, the food production that once was. Producing food in a natural way as we had done for centuries. But now, organic farming is associated with the future. Natural, animal-friendly food that's in balance with our earth and our climate. In 2016, organic products are hip, they're available everywhere, and you are successfully responding to the demand for better, more honest and natural food. As shown by the increasing presence of organic produce in our supermarkets or restaurants, the catering sector, and on the main streets. Organic may not yet be the norm, but it's a conscious choice for a growing number of consumers. Our biggest challenge is to keep producing high quality, healthy food in a responsible way for future generations. That's no easy task. As a sector, I think you must consider how to maintain production and keep pioneering on sustainability. There's still a lot to be done in terms of saving energy and water, reducing carbon emissions. You should also take inspiration from the conventional food sector. This conference is a great opportunity to discuss how to work together for sustainable growth. And I've seen you have several discussions on the future of the Common Agricultural Policy and how it can support not only organic farming, but of course a more natural way of farming. And that's one of the discussions we have put on the agenda during our presidency. We want to have a discussion with all the ministers of agriculture by the end of May about the future of the Common Agricultural Policy. How can it support innovation in farming more? How can it support a more natural way of farming? How can it support farming in a way that's more in balance with our nature and our climate? So it's important discussions. And I wish you a very productive few days, and thank you that it could be. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been a really sort of useful first session, and for me, going forward, I hold myself really optimistic for the future of organic and agroecological farming, because really for the first time in my career in agriculture, and I have worked in agriculture all my career, and I come from a farming family, we are seeing a change, and we really are seeing a change. I, as head of farming at the Soil Association, I receive calls all the time from non-organic farmers who perhaps 5 years ago would never have seen themselves calling the Soil Association, but they do now, not because they want to go be certified organic, but because they are interested in the practices that organic farmers follow. And I see that as being truly optimistic for the future of agroecological farming and actually in turn for organic farming?
I'd like to follow on from Liz and say that from my perspective too, someone who's been doing it for more than 40 years, but also from going around the world, I have never seen a time where people are more positive. You know, today we heard the Dutch minister and what he said, and I don't think we would have heard that 5 or 10 years ago from a minister, but I can tell you, I hear this from ministers now all over the world. We're in the middle of a paradigm shift, and it's a wonderful time to be organic. The other one for me here is that, you know, why I'm so pleased to be here, I think what you're doing here today, and looking at how you change farming, how you change the policies around farming to make it more agroecological, to move organic basically out of the niche into 50% of farming in Europe, I think is fabulous. And I can tell you the rest of the world will be watching you because you are showing real leadership here, and I thank you for it.
Excitement, and I do share, you know, that we live in really exciting times and in transformative times. But I do also see from our panel discussion and the discussions here, there is a lot to debate and decide about. And I do hear competing models, and they may not be that compatible. So we need to come to some sort of grips and understanding of where to go and where to push organic and agroecological systems in the future. Go industrial, stick in the existing paradigm, try to carve out your niche, or transform the system in a holistic manner and in a coherent manner. And with a coherent manner in values and ecology and social values, cultural values, I also include the third world. Maybe that's a little bit of encouraging to be critical, constructively critical, and questioning ourselves and engage in a controversial debate.
To put Organic 3.0 into focus, this is really the third paradigm shift for the organic movement. This is where we actually want to move away from just being seen as a production system into take us into a much larger realm. So, firstly, let's explain what Organic 1.0 was. That was our pioneers, Rudolf Steiner, Sir Albert Howard, Lady E. Balfour. We had many pioneers who came out of, you know, about 100 years ago. They could see problems with the way agriculture was going and wanted to go into a different direction, in a different agriculture. IFOAM is a child of Organic 2.0. Organic 3.0 is where we want to basically mainstream organic. That's what 2030 is. We want to engage with the larger community, not just on farming, not just on food, but there are other issues like climate change, social justice, gender equity. We can look at a whole range of issues that we face as humans, and in the organic movement we need to also engage with that. We need to look at more holistic farming systems. We need to look at how we connect the farm to the consumer and in between, and make sure there's fairness all the way through these chains. And I think one of the really critical things that's coming out from our point of view when we look at all these priorities is the concept of true cost accounting or true value for consumers. And this is something that we need to really get across. Once we do that, consumers and people can understand the externalities of our farming systems, and that what we're doing in organic is actually the best value for money.
It is really important to leave the discussion of the niche production and really go in the direction of what you said, mainstreaming. And it doesn't matter if it's 50% in 2030 or something, but the best comment was in your brochure from an Estonian member of IFOAM EU group. He said in 2030 the consumers can choose between conventional and organic food, but conventional food is too expensive. And has to go really to integrate the costs to see what the effects are, what is on the rural areas, what is with the societies, what is with the sustainability of the production.
I can only approach this subject, I'm quoting from my own email, from a side you may find negative and unwelcome, That is the forces that work to oppose the kind of agriculture you are fighting for. And such as many powerful transnational corporations and the treaty that they have tailored for themselves, both American and European corporations, to suit their needs. And this treaty is called the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Treaty. You have to keep an eye on an organization I haven't heard one word about today, but I hope you have researchers on its case. It is the EFSA, the European Food Safety Agency, which is a sort of conglomerate of agribusiness interests and regulators. The revolving door, as we say, between big business and the EFSA is constantly turning. And they are often doing the kind of research funded by the European Union which will be of benefit to the corporations. So keep an eye on the EFSA, but also keep an eye on the lobbies. You don't have to do this by yourself. CorporateEurope.org. And these people, I've known them for 20 years, since they were all in their 20s. They're terrific researchers, and you will find things about agribusiness that you won't believe. We have to join with each other and create coalitions where they can count on you. For instance, Friends of the Earth is already a very important part of that coalition. And finally, keep fighting. You're doing terrific work.